wonderful talk, and so many gems of wisdom there. I love the way you say that Our Lady always points us to her son Jesus, as we know, and as it says in our Katina, in our Legion prayers, Mary is terrible as an army set in battle array. So how privileged we are in the Legion to be part of that army. So thank you so much. It was a wonderful talk now. And our next speaker tonight is a legionary from Dublin, and it's Ray de Clare. Ray is married to Aoife for the last 16 years, and they have 7 children and another child on the way in a couple of weeks' time. So so Ray grew up, he was brought up a Catholic, and he always went to mass, and then I suppose in the teenage years he lapsed off a bit and that he fell away. So it wasn't in 2000, the year 2000, he went to U2000 in Rome, and then he came back to his faith, and he later joined the Legion of Mary, and he's now a member for the past 18 years. So when I spoke to Ray the other day, very busy man with 7 children and another one on the way, and there he was with full of paint on his hands, and he was painting down in the Regina Caeli and painting at home. So I said, what a great man. But Ray's talk tonight is Men Meant for Mary. So Ray, you're very welcome. Thanks very much for joining us.
You're right. You're on mute, Ray.
You're on mute, I think, Ray, are you?
That's better. Maybe I'm better. Yeah. Maybe I'm better off on mute. I'll just angle this slightly away from the mess. So I know they save kind of the best to last, but unfortunately, everybody, this isn't the case this evening. So really, as Sister said, yeah, just grew up a normal Dublin Catholic family, went to mass, did all that, all that kind of stuff was to say when you're growing up, and as you're in your teenage years, you kind of fall away. But I'm not going to kind of dwell too much on that this evening, and yeah, I'm a legionary as well, a very proud legionary for the last 18 years. So I suppose, yeah, I lapsed from faith, but what brought me back was my niece. Actually, I was just thinking about this because I know I only spoke to you briefly, as I said. I was busy the other day, but my niece wanted to go to World Youth Day in 2000 with a pro-life group, Youth Defence, but she was under 18, so she needed a chaperone. And at the time, sure, I hadn't much interest at all, So, but anyway, I was coerced into bringing her to World Youth Day. So I went. I enjoyed myself. I didn't get to see the Pope, which is, crazy. But I went over, and I suppose it sowed the seeds for a genuine kind of a genuine conversion, I suppose, to Catholicism. Even though I was baptized and gone to mass and stuff like that, as I said, I won't dwell too much on it, But anyway, through pro-life, I kind of committed to doing work with them, and which led eventually to the Legion of Mary. In the meantime, I'd met Aoife, and we were going out with each other. And I know so-called normal couples, you go out and you go to the cinema, and you kind of just you enjoy your time together. But most of our time, I suppose, was spent doing we'd see each other on Legion work and apostolic work, pro-life work, stuff like that. So it became very much part of my life, and Aoife was already very much embedded in that kind of lifestyle, I suppose, which was an amazing lifestyle. And although I kind of, I suppose, had that conversion, it wasn't like a lightning strike, but very much, obviously, God was working on me, a lady was working on me. So I remember a couple of people invited me to Legion of Mary and separate occasions. But anyway, I went to my first meeting in Phibsborough, a Lady Queen of Peace. And I remember going to the meeting, very structured, a large meeting, about 15 people, Presidium. And when I walked out of there, I wasn't sure if I would go back after the first meeting. But anyway, a great vice president I had at the time, Mary Carrick, and she rang me then. Did I go back to the second? I don't know. I did. I went back to the second week. She rang me during the week, and she said to me, "What did you think? Are you going to come back?" Blah blah blah. So I decided then, yeah, I would go back. So great vice president. You always follow up on your members, so that was excellent. So went back and kind of felt as if I'd arrived home. Really, it's very much a family kind of atmosphere. in the Presidium. Great crack as well. After the meeting, we go off for coffee or whatever else, and it was always good fun. It was always good crack. Got great work done, doing home visitation and stuff like that, you know. So lo and behold, late relationship with Aoife progressed. We got engaged, got married, and moved to the Midlands. And going from a really dynamic Presidium, you were on the front foot in a ladies' army and fighting the battle. I arrived to Midlands and looked up the Legion, eventually found it, and I arrived into the Presidium meeting and I went in, and dark room, older men, nothing against older men, of course, and becoming one of them. And I was talking about recruiting and everything else, and the first comment made to me was, well, you know, we don't really want to recruit any more members because we don't have enough chairs. So that I was going from a meeting that had, you know, dynamism and zeal for Our Lady to basically men who'd done huge things for Our Lady and for Ireland, but had basically had kind of, you know, served their time, and it was time to kind of retire now or semi-retire within the Legion. So that was one extreme to the other. So that was it really. But so I'm going to kind of go off there a bit and just say, like, what I'm trying to get at really is that a friend of mine said yesterday, he said, what are you going to talk about? I said, well, I haven't a clue really. And he said, well, he's a legionary as well. He said, just basically ask yourself, what has Mary done for me? You know, what has she actually done for me? And when you look back to where you were and see where you are now, it's everything really. And I don't want that to sound kind of flippant or anything, but it is everything. You know, because when you give your whole life over, to her and to God, and again, without sounding overly, you know, pious about things, because sometimes it's very hard to be prayerful or holy when you have a big gang running around the house. When you do turn things over, it does, you know, things just do fall into place, and you're always looked after. You really are always looked after. And sometimes you look back on difficult situations and you think, why was I so faithless, really, not to believe that everything would be okay? Because everything is okay in the end if you have Our Lady. So she means everything, really. The Holy Family mean everything. And like St. Joseph, you can't have Our Lady obviously without St. Joseph, and of course Jesus. So I think like to rely on them, as I thought in the beginning, my faith is kind of selfish, you know, to turn everything over to Jesus is complete, you know, that's kind of selfish, like turn all your worries, sorrows, joys and everything else over to him. But it isn't, you know. So that's one thing I've really learned, you know. And as you know, the family are under attack today, in so many ways, and our own family, we're attacked externally and at different levels, you know, and people will detract and slander and calumnize against you, you know, yourself or your children or whatever else. But when you know you have Our Lady with you, really and truly, nothing can go against you. They can go against you, but they can't ruin you as a family if you rely on Our Lady. So the Legion with myself and Aoife, I think she stayed at the Legion until we had our fifth child, fourth or fifth anyway, and then she decided to call it a day. She's back in the Legion now, works in Regina Caeli, even though she's only 2 weeks left to go until she has the baby. But yeah, one of us would remain in the Legion, and that's what happened. So I suppose the Legion is like sometimes it's like your mother, you know. You'll argue with her, you know, because she'll goad you into doing things, but at the same time she knows what's best. And that's what I always find as well, you know. It's kind of a love-hate relationship sometimes when it's very cold and wet and windy and you're going out to your Legion meeting. It's the last thing you want to do, it really is, after a tough day. But when you do go, it always makes the difference. So yeah, I think it makes a huge difference in my life. I'm going to move on then and speak briefly about St. Joseph. For men, I suppose, I know in Ireland, I'm not sure about abroad, but in Ireland, say, in some circles, like religion as such is seen as kind of nearly feminine, or a feminine thing to be into, but it's very much a masculine thing. I know a lady was very, I'm sure she must have been very tough as well. St. Joseph, for what he went through, must have been very tough. Different trials, into Egypt and back and birth Jesus, everything. Losing the Son of God for 3 days, I'm sure, was weighed very heavily on him at the time. I can only imagine losing one of my children. Imagine losing the Son of God. That would have been a huge worry at the time, So just an image that recently I was reading a book, that the image that you should cleave to God and huddle under the cross, I thought really stuck in my mind. And again, as a family, if we all huddle under the cross and cleave to God, that nothing can go wrong. Even though things might be in turmoil sometimes, as long as you do that, it will always work out, And I think that image really sticks to me from just the book I read recently, by Matt Walsh, which is a book that we're reading in the Catholic Men's Book Club that we have going at the moment. Father Colin Mannion runs it, and that's just one of the tools that I use to, I suppose, strengthen my faith as a man. You've got the Legion, and that's I suppose the Marian side to your faith, and then you've got adoration and mass, and you've got Jesus there. But again, you need to kind of have St. Joseph's influence on your life as well. And I think by joining, say, a book club, having a good prayer book to St. Joseph, which I have, small, simple little prayer book, things like that, it really has a huge influence on you, and of course the sacraments. As a family, we obviously rely heavily on the sacraments, because I don't think you can get through this without the sacraments, and you can't have joy in your life without the sacraments, really. So confession is, even though you might meet some apprehension or resistance from one or two of the little ones at times when confession's on the cards and we're all queuing up Ensign Saviours, but at the same time, when there's apprehension there, when they come out the other side, it's going to be a kind of great reception, and a cause for celebration in their own consciences and souls as well. So that's, and then obviously our Lord in the Blessed Sacrament as well. So that gives us our strength. And again, as I said at the start, like saving the worst to the last, like there are more qualified, better men than I am to speak about faith, family life, I suppose. And I think that to ask me, they were taking a real gamble. But anyway, I don't do what we can do. But just really to, I suppose, to agree with Sister Katrina and the other speakers today, Our Lady will she'll just lead you along. And I'm not saying anything new here, like Sister Katrina says as well. I'm not saying anything new, nobody new revelations. If you rely on Our Lady, if you rely on God, Jesus, that's really what it's all about. And the aim of the game is to get yourself and your spouse to heaven, and please God, the children as well. And that's really what it's all about. And as simple as it sounds, that really is it. Because like there is nothing else. Our Lady is everything. So when a friend of mine said to me yesterday, he said, like, why do you stick with it? What, and he's very much like practicing Catholic. He said, why do you stick with it? What makes you stick with it? Trying to get me thinking for this conference. The reason you stick with it is because it's the right way to go. Our Lady and our Lord are everything. So if they're everything, then anything else is nothing. So why would you not stick with it? And even in your times of doubt, you're going to stick with it, because in your heart and soul that it's the right way to go. And of course, please God, the person that's been praying for me for years, who I know definitely has happened because of various circumstances in my life, growing up, there are people that, who could have made me go down the wrong tracks or the wrong way or whatever else. But I know, even on reflection recently, that definitely somebody in heaven praying for me. And please God, myself, wife, children will get to meet that person someday, because I'm fully sure there was somebody definitely praying for me in heaven all those years, which kind of got me through various situations in life. So please God, I get to thank them someday, whoever that is. And I think that's it really. I'm just trying to go through things. I hope I wasn't speaking too long. I'm following God's will, and just a little psalm. I think it's one of the shortest psalms in the book of Psalms. I nearly feel sorry for this psalm, but it sums it all up. It's so humble and small and short compared to some of them. And Psalm 116, it just says, strong is his love for us. He is faithful forever. And I just think that just sums everything up, you know. So if God is faithful for us and we remain faithful for him, to him, to be honest with you, I think we're really we're doing very well on that part of the bargain, because he's given us so much more than we give him in our brokenness and our humanity, our humanity, that he gives us far more than we can ever give him. So if we can even give him a small iota of what he gives us, it'd be worth it, So I think that's it. Yeah, thanks.
Great. Ray, thank you so much. And obviously